each and everyone, especially to our beautiful instructor, no other than Ma'am Gabriela Marie Terencio, our instructor in ELT 112 Language Programs and Policies in Multilingual Societies. So, my task for today is to introduce our group, which is the Group 5. By the way, my name is Norhan A. Busikong, first year college student, Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English from Set D. So, in our group, I am the one who assigned in the introduction of our groups. So, in our group, which is the group 5, our report or topic is all about the classification of bilinguals. These are the following members who assign in every task in our group. Okay, so introduction of group members, of course, it's me, Norhan A. Busikong. Followed by the topic overview discussed by Carlo Casi. Followed by the discussion discussed by Cristel Puna Badrejo. Followed by summary discussed by Ivy Joy D. Jr. And then lastly, the impression about our groups discussed by J.R. Andalinog and Dominic Z. Barrow. Those I mentioned are the one who assigned in every task in our groups. Okay? So that is my task for today. Good luck to our groups and God bless.
We're going to talk about bilingual. The root word bilingual is composed of bi meaning to and lingual which means pertaining to language. Lingual shares a group with other language related words like linguistic and linguaphile. Countries are often described as bilingual when they have two or more official or widely used of language. Another word of bilingual, the prefix bi means having two, and the Latin word of lingua means tongue language. So bilingual literally means of having two tongues. So it would be mouthful to have a two physical tongue, but luckily, bilingual is for language tongue. It's the ability to speak two or more languages fluently. Thank you.
Good day, ma'am. I will discuss the classification of bilinguals. Bilinguals were classified according to the distinction between the degree of fluency and competence in the languages spoke by age, context, manner of acquisition of the languages. A bilingual person is, as defined by the Linguistic Society of America, someone who speaks two languages. A person who speaks more than two languages is called multilingual. Bilinguals have two native languages. For bilinguals, it is important to know what a native language or a mother tongue is. There are three general types of bilingual: the compound bilingual, coordinate bilingual, and the subcoordinate bilingual. The compound bilingual is develop the two languages system simultaneously with a single context. The coordinate bilingual is learned to language and distinctively separate context, and the subcoordinate bilingual is learned the secondary language by filtering through the mother tongue. An example of being bilingual is a person who can speak both English and Spanish. Another example of bilingual is bilingual education. when a student is taught in both English and the language of their native country. Bilingualism is when the person can understand two languages, but not necessarily speak both. Country or area where are two official languages. A person may be bilingual by virtue of having grown up learning and using two languages simultaneously, or they may become bilingual by learning a second language sometimes after their first language. So that's all, and thank you and God bless, ma'am.
Hi ma'am, good morning. I am Margie Lindal, BS Ed English. I'm here in front of you today to discuss about classification of bilingualism. Classification of bilingualism. For many people, the bilingual seems to be easy to be defined. Being truly bilingual means for them being capable of speaking two languages. The predominant language L1 of the area or country where the persons live, and an additional language L2 like a native speakers. But as there are various kinds of bilinguals and multilinguals, it is necessary to develop a clear categorization. Unfortunately, the following terms are used what I thought is kind of mainstream. Classification according to the age of an individual. Early bilinguals, these groups can be further subdivided into simultaneous bilinguals. Both languages are acquired simultaneously, sequential bilinguals. The second languages, L2, was acquired after the first one, L1. Classification according to skills. There are no clearly defined levels of bilingual skills, but is rather a continuum ranging from passive bilinguals, balanced bilinguals, dominant bilinguals, and equilinguals. Passive bilinguals, a person who is a native speaker in one and is capable of understanding but not speaking another language. Balanced bilinguals. Balanced bilinguals, someone who is more proficient in both languages but will not necessarily pass for a native speaker in both languages. Dominant bilingual. Dominant bilinguals, a person being more proficient in one and of the two languages, in most cases native-like. Bilingual. Bilingual, if somebody passes in any situation in both languages or a native speaker, he or she is indistinguishable from a native speaker. This is the strictest kind of defining bilingualism. Unfortunately, it is very often the inherent semantics some people and even some scientists bear in mind when they talk about bilingualism. The four categories can be attributed by the four stages of languages skills: listening comprehension, speaking, reading comprehension, and writing. Listening comprehension. This is the minimal competence a bilinguals will have in both languages. A passive bilingual is one who can only cope with these skills in the second languages, whereas this is in this or her first language, he normally manage the four of them. Speaking. That is the capability you can generally expect a dominant and a balanced bilinguals as well in an equilingual to passes. Reading comprehension. This is the threshold where our dominant bilinguals often drops out for this second language, but not inevitably. Writing. That's the capability which can be expected from the balanced bilinguals, may be with a reduced proficiency, and the equilingual. This approach to classify and categorize bilinguals is not completely and may be too strict in its abstractions. It doesn't take into consideration those who are able to show a considerable proficiency and reading, comprehension, and writing, but are very poor in understanding or language and in speaking the second language. This is all my discussion about classification of bilingualism. Thank you so much, Mom, for your listening to me. God bless and especially always keep safe there, Mom. Thank you.
Early versus late bilinguals. Early bilinguals means learning of second language can speak like a native speaker. Late bilinguals means learning makes progress in acquiring morphosyntactic and semantic aspect of a second language. Successive versus simultaneous bilinguals. Successive bilinguals means a consecutive bilingualism. It is the situation where often used to become bilinguals as adults. Simultaneous bilingualism means where infants who become exposed in two languages from birth become simultaneous bilinguals. Receptive bilingualism, being able to understand two languages but expressed in one way only. Elite versus folk bilinguals. Elite bilinguals means is the individual who choose to have a bilingual home to enhance their social status, while folk bilinguals means is the society where did not value their native languages. Balanced versus dominant bilinguals. Balanced bilinguals means is someone who mastered two languages. Dominant bilinguals means is someone with greater proficiency in one of his or her languages, while semilingual, someone with insufficient knowledge of his languages. Additive versus subjunctive bilinguals. Additive bilinguals means learning of a second language does not interfere. Two languages are both developed. Subjunctive bilinguals means the second language replaces the first languages. Additive or subjunctive bilinguals is associated with the two languages in a society.
Classification of bilinguals. Being truly bilingual means for many people, being capable of speaking two languages. There are various kinds of bilinguals and multilinguals. It is necessary to develop a clear categorization. Classification according to the age of an individual. Early bilingual, this group can be further subdivided into simultaneous bilingual, both languages are acquired simultaneously. Sequential bilingual, the second language was acquired after the first one. Late bilingual, classification according to skill. Passive bilingual, a person who is a native speaker. Dominant bilingual, a person being more proficient in one. Balanced bilingual, someone who is more or less equally proficient in both languages. Equilingual, if someone passes in any situation in both languages for a native speakers, this is the strictest kind of defining bilingualism. The four categories can be attributed by the four stages of language skills. Listening comprehension. A passive bilingual is one who can only cope with these skills in the second language. Speaking, you can generally expect a dominant and a balanced bilingual. Reading comprehension, this is a threshold where a dominant. Writing, the balanced bilingual, may be with a reduced preference.
Good day, ma'am. My task is about what is my reaction in my group. In every group, there are different behavior of the member. It's not easy to synchronize or getting their attention and keep pushing what they can do in the group. And I observe only the leaders can make some point because of being lazy and doing those tasks. They are not able to the person well. It is important in a group not that everyone has dedicated and committed on the tasks given in our group. I can say that not everyone has been responsible in every task, so that is the effect of our individual improvement and development as a student. That's all. Thank you.
quiet.